It's the Then versus Now Challenge! 3!
And welcome back, fans!
It's quarterfinal race 1 for Group 1 of the Then vs. Now Challenge 3.
And boy, do we have a super exciting race today! So let's get right into it and meet today's racers. Up first, we have the driver that answered our first ever open call. And just a reminder, if you want to be a driver in one of our videos, just follow the directions on screen. Anyway, representing Team Then, all the way from Barranquitas, Puerto Rico, where he works in his father's shop, it's Scrapyard superfan Aramis Rodriguez, racing in his 1996 Subaru SVX. And Aramis officially kicked off this tournament by competing in Race 1, where he set the bar really high by quickly sending Royal Valencia home after scoring a perfect shutout victory.
Then for Team Now, it's the longest lasting survivor in this group. It's Canada's favorite stay-at-home mom, Miss Imelda Roy from Richmond Hill, Ontario, Canada, in her daily driver grocery-getting 2006 Pontiac GTO. Imelda has been with us since all the way back in qualifying race 3, where she fought for her spot in this tournament by taking out the cameras, herself, and most importantly the rest of the competition. Ultimately, she ended up tying with another GTO we dubbed the Patriot. And when they faced each other again in race 3 of this tournament, they were tied again. But in the final heat, Miss Roy went back to the classics and again took out the camera, herself, and the competition, sending the Patriot home and herself to the quarterfinals here today.
Man, you can totally see why the fans love Mrs. Roy. She brings home the groceries and the wins. Up next, we have the only SUV in this group, but this isn't your average SUV. It's the 2017 Lamborghini Urus, driven by Ranveer Singh, all the way from Bombay, India. He put away another Lamborghini SUV driven by Miss Anna Mae Bullock. She didn't put up much of a contest as she struggled to make it past the turn, and I hear she's given up racing completely and has gone on to have a pretty successful music career. But let's see how Mr. Singh does today against some tougher competition.
And last but not least is another driver that has been with us since the qualifying rounds. From Columbus, Georgia, it's Benjamin Webb in his 1984 Toyota MR2. Dedicated fans will remember qualifying race 7 as one of the most frustrating races in Scrapyard history. We even had to threaten to send our old safety crew Toyota Land Cruiser with a plow to the tournament, as it seemed no driver was going to make it across the line. There were more cars catching on fire than were crossing the finish line.
Yeah, you and Wild Bob even had a pork chop cookout on one of the burning cars.
They were cinnamon-crusted ham hocks, and they were delicious.
Moving on. Seemingly not having learned their lesson in race 7, Dexter Hall in the insanely powerful Toyota Supra broke down while Benjamin Webb literally brought the fire. Now that we've met all the racers, let's get up to the guillotine gate and get this race started before the fans fire us and click on another video.
Hold on, Barry. I got one last surprise racer for this quarterfinal.
What? Who?
It's not really a who, more of a what. To turn up the competition, we're going to be sending down a remote control clunker as a decoy. And here's the best part. If the clunker passes you to the finish line, you lose a point for that heat.
Here we are at the guillotine gate for Heat 1.
Wow, I just love seeing 5 cars lined up at the gate.
In Lane 1, we have Aramis in the SVX. In Lane 2, Benjamin Webb in the MR2. Lane 3 is our clunker. Lane 4 is Imelda Roy's GTO. And Lane 5 is our lone SUV. It's Ranveer Singh in the Urus.
I hope you're ready, fans, because these quarterfinals are starting now.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're off!
Pile up in the turn! Crashing off the jump!
Sing and the Clunker are out!
Aramis in reverse! Clunker's exploding!
Roy and Webb are out!
SVX turns around!
He scrapes the wall and is across the line!
Wow! We need to see that again in the replay, Barry! What a way to kick off these quarterfinals, Barry!
They keep a tight grouping coming down Nevada. Even the Clunker stayed in formation. Then in the bottleneck, the Clunker goes for a pit maneuver against Aramis's SVX, which actually gets that Subaru in the air. But it has an even better effect on the MR2 and the drivers behind it, because that's when the mayhem starts.
In Carmine Corner, Benjamin Webb's MR2 regains control while sending the SVX on its roof.
And our Clunker is doing its work by blocking Roy's GTO and sending the Urus onto its very expensive roof.
And then everyone comes flipping their way into Clunker Canyon, sending clunkers off the side.
Everyone except Ranveer Singh's Urus, who scrapes to a halt right at the edge of the ramp.
And Ranveer might have been smart by keeping that Lamborghini off Clunker Canyon, because as we can see from our wide shot, those clunkers did not go easy off the side of the cliff. They literally fell down and went boom!
We can also see how hard Imelda Roy struggled to try and get that GTO back on its wheels, but with no luck.
Someone who was lucky was Aramis Rodriguez, because he hit the inside corner on his way into the boulevard, which spun his car around. And then, being the only driver left in this heat, he played it safe and hugged the wall all the way across the line.
He didn't play it too safe because he still went slamming into the tires after the line, sending bits of rubber everywhere and his SVX onto its door. But the other place it sent him was onto our scorecard, because as the only racer to cross the line, he got 5 big points, while everyone else gets 0.
Man, Barry, our remote control clunker did way better than I expected. He blocked 4 drivers from crossing the line at all. And that's way more devastating at their chances of winning than just losing a point. That's just brutal. We are back at the guillotine for Heat 2.
Lane changes now sees Benjamin Webb's MR2 in the pole position. 1 lane over is Ranveer Singh's Lamborghini in lane 2. The remote control clunker is back in its reset position of lane 3. The only person with points on the board, Aramis Rodriguez, is in lane 4, and Miss Imelda Roy closes us out in lane 5. Now let's hit that countdown button.
You got it, Barry.
3, 2, 1, go!
Big wreck!
They're upside down in the turn.
Bouncing off the jump!
Aramis and Roy are out. Makes it through.
So does the clunker!
Singh pulls over.
MR2 ping-ponging down the street!
Clunker tries to catch up, but it doesn't beat the MR2 across the line. That was a lot of action, Al. Let's break it all down in the replay.
Another great heat, Barry.
Once again, all 5 racers keep it tight coming down Nevada.
But in the bottleneck, the clunker manages to block the MR2 and spin it around.
And it looks like our superfan Aramis was using the 4-wheel drive in that Subaru to try and drive over the clunker.
But Webb manages to spin that MR2 around on the way into Carmine Corner. And now it's Ranveer Singh in the Urus that's trying to use his 4-wheel drive to get over that clunker. But it backfires and he ends up on his roof.
Then everyone comes in for a harsh landing off the jump into Clunker Canyon.
Some racers actually manage to bounce through, but Aramis is out, and for the second time in the same spot, so is Imelda Roy.
Then when we pull the camera back, we could see that Benjamin Webb pulled off an expert-level J-turn and was able to get that tiny MR2 spun back around.
And our clunker was able to straighten out and stay in this race, thanks to some help from his clunker buddies. Plus, it looks like you spoke too soon on that expert-level J-turn, Barry, because Benjamin Webb actually overcooks it and goes directly into the wall at the opening of the boulevard. And then it looks like he went back to his qualifying race days because his driving technique went out the window as he helplessly ping-pongs off the wall until he crosses the line.
Meanwhile, the clunker with its target still locked on the MR2 goes head-on to him after the line.
Maybe that will knock some sense into Benjamin Webb and he'll get his head back in the game.
Or better yet, maybe the 5 big points Benjamin Webb just scored will help him refocus.
And everyone else was lucky they didn't make it across the line, because with that clunker coming in second, they would have all lost a point. Heat 3. Both racers with 0 points are now up front, with Ranveer's Urus in lane 1 and Imelda Roy's GTO in lane 2. The clunker is back home in lane 3. And the only 2 racers with any points are in the back row, with Artemis in lane 4 and Benjamin Webb in lane 5.
Good luck to all the racers.
And the clunker.
3, 2, 1, go!
Urus flips.
More flips in the turn.
Hard off the jump.
The Urus and the MR2 are out. Roy recovers.
Artemis is out.
And across the line.
Yes, that was awesome.
Another great heat, Al.
It all looked calm going down Nevada, but then, in the bottleneck, the clunker manages to flip that heavy Lamborghini over, and the other racers do their best to try and steer around.
And Imelda Roy, who worked so hard to get the lead, flips as she exits Carmine Corner.
And the Urus and the MR2 also left the turn on their roofs instead of on their wheels.
Then coming into Clunker Canyon, it looks like Imelda Roy and Aramis Rodriguez were launched out of a cannon.
And behind them, Ranveer's Urus crashes out after the jump, and Benjamin's MR2 doesn't even make it off the ramp.
Then miraculously, Imelda Roy is able to do a barrel roll and get that GTO back on its wheels.
Even though Aramis also pulled off a barrel roll, I think Imelda's was just so awesome that the SVX had to pull over to admire it.
Then knowing she was all alone, Canada's most famous racer mom lets loose all 400 horsepower in that GTO and rockets across the line.
She crossed that line so fast she didn't even have time to hit that parachute she's carrying on her back bumper.
Well, the one thing Mrs. Imelda Roy did have time for was racking up 5 big points on the scorecard, which puts this race in a 3-way tie.
Heat 4, and we have a 3-way tie for first place.
Imelda Roy, fresh off her win, now in a pole position, is in a great place to increase her lead. Superfan Aramis Rodriguez tied for first, also up front in lane 2. The clunker in its steadfast position of lane 3. Ranveer Singh in lane 4 is desperately looking to get on the scorecard and is running out of heats to do it in. And Benjamin Webb closes out the pack in lane 5.
All right, Barry, it's countdown time.
3, 2, 1, go!
Clunker goes wide.
Urus flips.
Barrel rolls everywhere.
Lamborghini and Toyota are out.
I don't believe it. The SVX recovers.
Is hit to the wall. He recovers and is across the finish line.
I need that replay now, Barry.
What a display of racing, Al.
Even the clunker is using strategy by going wide. I'm not sure who in the safety crew is working that remote, but they're doing a great job.
Well, whoever is working the controls had the clunker slam on the brakes in the bottleneck, causing the Urus to flip on its roof.
I really think in this race that Lamborghini has spent more time on its roof than on its wheels. Maybe he'll make it across the line if he starts the last heat on his roof and see if he can flip over onto his tires. And by the time they're in Carmine Corner, 3 out of the 4 racers were on their roofs. Then, 5 out of 5 cars missed the landing in Clunker Canyon. Everyone has been having a hard time landing that jump this whole race.
We made that jump harder for that very reason, Al. These are the then versus now quarterfinals at Scrapyard Diecast Racing. This is not a joyride at the Woodward Boulevard Dream Cruise.
Well, someone who looks like they just had their dreams come true is Aramis Rodriguez, because he was the only racer able to recover, and he got that Subaru back on its wheels.
Even though he gets loose and makes contact with the wall in the boulevard, he never lets off the gas pedal until he makes contact with the tires after the finish line.
And another place he just made huge contact is on the scorecard, because he just turned this three-way tie into a one-man show and is now the clear leader. This is it. We are back at the guillotine gate for the final heat.
The racers are back in their original positions. In lane 1, we have points leader Aramis in the SVX. Benjamin Webb, tied for second, is in lane 2. Lane 3 is our clunker. Lane 4 is Mrs. Imelda Roy and her GTO, also tied for second. And in lane 5 is the Lamborghini. Needs a win here in order to survive.
All right, Barry, it's the last countdown.
3, 2, 1, go!
Urus gets blocked!
Urus out of control!
Roy and the Urus are out!
Aramis lands the choke!
MR2 is out! Clunkers explode! Aramis all alone!
He's straight down the boulevard!
Look at that! He went back over the line and crossed it again! Man, he really wants people to know he won that one!
Okay, Al, don't get excited. We'll see it again in the replay.
That was awesome, Barry! It seems like everyone knew the racer to take out was Ranveer Singh, and they all teamed up on him and pushed him into the wall at the end of Nevada. And he looks like a lost satellite drifting in space as he helplessly spins through the bottleneck.
And you can just catch a glimpse of him flipping back onto his roof on the way out.
And by the time he's in Carmine Corner, he is clearly roof sliding again. That's 5 for 5 heats where that Lamborghini flipped over.
Unfortunately for Mrs. Imelda Roy, she also ended her heat on her roof in the turn.
Well, someone who was on their wheels was Aramis Rodriguez, who actually managed to land the jump.
Unlike our clunker and the MR2 that crashed and sent clunkers over the edge with explosive results.
And from that wide shot, we can see just how well Aramis landed that jump, shifted in reverse, and never looked back. Wait, he's in reverse. So he never looked front. He never looked front, correct?
Forget it, Al. The only place we know he was looking for sure was at the finish line, because he comes straight down the boulevard and crosses the line.
And like I said during the race, he then recrosses the line because he's trying to drive that point home. This win belongs to me and only me. Aramis, that's some hardcore racing spirit right there.
Well, another place Aramis's racing spirit is coming through is on the scorecard, because he just ran away with first place with 15 big points. He is clearly today's winner.
And literally on the flip side, with a big fat 0 points, is Ranveer Singh, who is clearly tonight's loser. But, will you look at that? With 5 points apiece, Benjamin Webb and Miss Imelda Roy are tied for second.
And we all know what that means.
Oh yes we do, Barry. It means it's time for... Sudden Death. I can't believe it, Barry. It's the first quarterfinal of the Then vs. Now challenge, and we already have a sudden death heat.
The first racer across the line will be joining Aramis Rodriguez in the semifinals. Having scored first, the MR2 gets lane 1. Mrs. Imelda Roy is in lane 2. And the clunker, as always, is in lane 3.
I guess Heat 5 was not the last countdown. This one is. Maybe.
3, 2, 1, go!
Imelda cuts in! She flips the MR2!
Benjamin Webb is out!
Clunker hits the truck!
Imelda lands the jump! Imelda Roy all alone!
Can she make it across the line?
Here she comes!
Oh no, she's into the wall!
But she makes it across the line!
This is it! One last replay, Barry. That was beyond awesome, Barry.
Mrs. Imelda Roy was on a mission. She pays zero attention to the clunker and immediately goes for a block coming down Nevada.
But the clunker operator didn't forget to pay attention and tries to block both racers in the bottleneck.
And 2 cars blocking that tiny MR2 was just more than Benjamin Webb's car could handle. And it flips that tiny car right as it exits the bottleneck.
And by the time he's in Carmine Corner, there's no way he's flipping that tiny car over. And his long journey that started all the way back in the qualifying rounds ends right there on his roof during a sudden death heat.
But someone who did not want the race to end was Mrs. Imelda Roy, who has also been with us since the qualifying races. And she shows just how hungry she is for that win by landing the jump.
I'm sure she is hungry. I mean, that car is her grocery getter. It must smell like food in there all the time.
Al, focus please.
Right, like the way Miss Roy focused when she straightened up and hit the gas coming out of Clunker Canyon.
Much better. Thank you, Al. While she was all alone, she loses grip coming into the boulevard and double taps the inside wall before spinning and crossing the line in reverse.
But I'm sure right now Imelda Roy couldn't care less how she crossed the line. The only thing she must be thinking about in that car is she's joining our superfan in the semifinals. Well, she's thinking about that, and she's probably also thinking about food, because that car is her grocery getter, and it must smell like food all the time in there.
Al, what did I just say? Focus.
Right. Sorry. It's just all this food talk is making me hungry.
You're the only one talking about food.
Well, fans, if you're hungry...
Al!
Let me finish. Fans, if you're hungry for more racing, join us next time when we have the first quarterfinal race for Group 2. See? I made it about racing.
Barely. Well, fans, we hope you enjoyed our first quarterfinal race. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Please leave us a comment below and let us know what you thought of this race.
And be sure to like and share this video. Or even better, subscribe to our channel so you never miss a race. But in the meanwhile, be sure to check out our playlist to catch up on all our other tournaments and events. And if that's still not enough Scrapyard Diecast racing action for you, go check out our Shorts channel and subscribe.
It's the Then versus Now challenge. 3,